it's Peyton from the Superstars, and welcome back to our channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make your own DIY face mask. This is what it looks like. Before we get into it, I just want to say that I'm a complete beginner in sewing, which you will have to do for this. I made up this tutorial all by myself. I don't really know what I'm doing, but this seems to work pretty well. I haven't tried washing it yet, so I don't know how durable it is in the washing machine. And I know that some hospitals are looking for donations for these kinds of masks. I don't know if this is safe to donate, but this is a great mask just for you to wear if you're going to the store or going for a walk or just going out in public in general, but it's just good for yourself. Anyways, let's get into it. Okay, so I'm going to start by cutting out my fabric. I've already cut out one piece and I put that on top of the other piece, which I'm cutting right now. The measurement of the fabric just depends on who you're making the mask for, so you can hold the fabric up to their face. I don't have any exact measurements for the fabric that I used. These are the two pieces of fabric that I will be using. You also want to make sure they're two different colors so you can tell the front from the back. I'm making this mask for my brother, so to make sure the pieces of fabric were the right size, he held them up to his face and made sure they fit. Now that I'm all done cutting the fabric, these are the materials that you'll be needing. Obviously, you need two different pieces of fabric, make sure they're different colors. You can also use a tape measure to measure the fabric if you need, some scissors to cut the fabric and the thread, thread to sew, and a needle to sew as well. Instead of using pieces of yarn for the part that goes around your ears, I'm going to be using thin pieces of fabric. I think that these will be more durable and go with the mask better. The last thing you'll need is a hot glue gun to make the folds. The first thing we're going to be doing is sewing, so step one is to thread the needle. It may take a few tries, but I promise that you will get it eventually. After you get the thread through the eye of the needle, you're going to want to tie a knot to make sure the thread stays in place. You're also going to want to tie a knot at the end of your thread. Make sure it's big enough so it won't go through the fabric. Next, you're going to want to put one piece of fabric on top of the other. Try to line them up the best that you can. You're going to want to make sure that the side of fabric you want on the outside is facing in. Now you can start to sew. I do know there are different ways you can sew, but all I did was stick my needle through both pieces of fabric on one side and pulled the thread all the way through, and then I'd turn my work over and do the same thing on the other side, leaving a little space in between the last stitch, and that seemed to work. This is what the first stitch looked like. You're just going to want to keep sewing on this side until you get to the corner. Feel free to pause the video while you're sewing. This is what my work is looking like so far. I'm just on my last few stitches. Okay, I'm all done sewing this side. Now for the corners, I'm just going to make sure that it's extra secure, so I'm going to put my thread back through some of the stitches and tie a few knots. Like I said, I'm just doing this to make sure the corners are extra secure. This this is what the first fully sewed side looks like. I'm now just going to sew all the other sides just like I did the last one. Make sure not to fully sew the last side because we're going to flip the mask inside out at the end. Also make sure that whenever you reach a corner, you do the same thing that we did to the first corner. I'm just finishing up the last stitch here, and then all the sewing will be done. All you have to do after that is tie a knot to make sure the thread will stay in place. Alright, all the sewing is done. You can put your needle and thread away. This is what my mask looks like. Alright, so this is the gap that I didn't sew. As you can see, it does not have to be that big. Now the next part is a little tricky. You're going to have to push the mask through the hole from the inside. It's kind of hard to explain, so hopefully you can just tell what I'm doing by watching it. You're going to want to keep pulling the mask through until it's all the way through and you can't see thread anymore and it's just a nice seam on the outside. This process does take like a little while and it can be frustrating, but it's definitely worth it to have the good seam. This is what the mask should look like once you've done that step. Last step, we're going to hot glue the folds in the mask, and we're also going to hot glue on the part that goes around your ears. So the first thing we're going to hot glue is that little hole that we didn't sew. Just add a little bit of hot glue on the inside of one of the pieces of fabric and then press them both together. It's going to be a little hot, so just be careful. I actually did burn myself slightly while I was making this mask. To make the fold, you're going to want to fold each side 5 different times. So as you can see here, I'm just doing an accordion fold to one of the sides, and you're going to want to make sure you fold it 5 times. It's very important that you do it 5 times. Now you're going to want to open the first flap and put hot glue inside of there so that that part will stay together. Press it together until the glue is pretty much dry. You're going to do the exact same thing for the second flap as well. For this part, you're going to need the piece of fabric that goes around the ear. Make sure you measure this piece around the ear of the person that you're making this for before you attach it to the mask. As you can see, I put the piece of fabric into the flap. You're going to want to put hot glue on both sides of this flap and then just press it together like you did to the other ones. Now you're just going to want to do the same thing you did to the first 2 flaps to the last 2 flaps. Now all you got to do is the same thing you did to that side to the other side, and then you'll be done. Okay, the mask is all done. This is what it looks like. Masks. I'm really happy with how they turned out. I hope your guys can turn out just as well, and it seems to fit pretty well. So I hope you guys can figure out how to make these, and if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like, and if you want to see more videos of me and my crazy brothers, make sure to subscribe.
Okay, everyone, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!